With me on the program today, I am very privileged to have a good friend and a colleague in the ministry here, Mpumelelo, but most people know him as Calvin, a great musician, friend, artist, worship leader. Calvin, great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Tops.
thank you for your time, and we're going to have a few minutes of sharing with great things God is doing. But before we talk about the city-changing effect that you have through your music, maybe just introduce us again with who Calvin is, where you come from, and people know who you are.
All right. My name is Calvin. Actually, my name is Mpumelelo Calvin Gigaba. And I'm originally from Eastrand. Eastrand, a small township called Tsakane. Great township. Huh? Yes, that's where I'm from. I'm the firstborn of the family.
Okay.
I have both my parents. I have two beautiful sisters.
And your journey with God, where did that start? Part of your family or not really?
No, actually, I was the first one to get saved at my house. And I was just a young man who was just passionate about God from...
But how did that happen? Where did you actually meet God?
I met God at church. I just went to church just nearby my house and went in there. And the pastor was preaching and they called an altar call, and that was my turnaround. But all the years, I didn't understand what was happening to my life. I just went to church because everybody went to church. My parents used to go to a Zion church, so it was just part of the process. But my real turnaround came when I was in grade 12, when I really met the Lord, where I felt now...
It's real now, hey?
Yes, I am deciding, and there's a conviction, there's a strong sense and a drawing of what God wants me to be.
Now, Calvin, as long as I've known you, you've been a great singer into music. Where did you actually discover, man, when I sing, people want to listen, there's some talent going here?
Actually, I started in primary. I was doing something called a choral verse, where you just come in and you just act it out. So then I joined the choir of the school. And from then I realized, this is something that I would like to do for the rest of my life. And then at the church where I was based, they called me to do a solo. And then I sang in front of people, but I closed my eyes because I was shy. I was not that guy on the stage. So then after I did that solo, I opened my eyes and everybody was crying and praying, and I didn't understand what is happening.
Was it that good or that bad?
It was good at the time, because after that, one of the elders, a mother, came to me and says, "You've got so much to give to the church. I want you to start steering that voice and start singing in the choir or in the worship team." And then from there, I never stopped since then. Yeah.
Now, you've been a worship leader at the inner city campus of Doxa Deo for how many years now?
For about 6 to 7 years.
That's quite some time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just enjoy watching you worship, the way you move. I can never do those moves. I try when nobody can see me, but it's a very private experience. Yeah. But we're here to talk especially about soul.
Yeah.
Now, I have to be honest, when I heard the name of the band, I was like, so it's not for sale anymore, it's sold. But then I realized I got the name wrong. Maybe just where did the name Sold come from?
We were sitting, because at the time when we started Sold was 7 years ago. And at the time we were just young people passionate about music and God, and we had songs in our hearts. And then we started calling ourselves Project, the Project, because we had songs and we put them together and go and sing. And then somebody said, these songs have soul in it, and the name came through that. And we thought, we want to be sold out to Christ. We just don't want to be a group that sings gospel songs, so we want to be soul. Everything about our soul must be just unto Christ.
So it's a combination of your own soul and sold out to
soul and sold out to Christ. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, just tell us the effect that it's had, the places that you've went to minister to. If you're saying the soul, you want people to hear that soul.
Yeah.
What have you seen God do through the music and the impact that you guys are having?
One of the things that I could remember or recall, we sang at a camp. And the camp was full of about 500 kids, and they were all Africans, and we were the only black band at the time. And then we were asked to lead worship the whole week, and we were so terrified because culture was not really, on our side. So we got on stage and we started singing and we started worshiping, And the impact that we made throughout that week, really, we had to go back to to where we started and say, what is happening? What is God calling us into? And from then we realized that, our music can reach any soul at any place. That's one of the things that made us realize that our music touches the soul and it speaks to the soul of any man from any color and creed.
But on that, this is a program about city changes.
Sure.
Why is music and the music that Sold is doing, or maybe music in general, why is it so important to the heart of a city? And what is the power of music in a city?
I think music as a voice, it's easy to communicate anything through music. And music has a way of inspiring people into action. So I think that's why, for me, music is important, because you can send in any message, both wrong or right message. And with Sold, we want to, we've been impacting the city through the message of Jesus Christ and hoping that people will be inspired to love God through that music. So, for me, music has a way of inspiring action. It's a way of inspiring your heart to think differently about any situation. I think it's important.
But it's a mysterious thing, the power of music, eh?
Yeah.
The amount of artists that has a voice because of the music, not because of the talent, but the door that it opens, and the voice that you can give. If Sold, not if, when Sold, approaches a performance, what happens in your guys' hearts? Knowing that you've got an opportunity, as a city changer, knowing that you're not just bringing music, you're sharing a message. What do you think about it? What happens in your hearts before a performance?
We had to grow into the heart of God first for our lives individually. Because, there were times in our lives as Sold where we used to, we would wear uniform, we would try to impress people. We would always dress up for a performance. And that was not doing anything in our hearts at the time, until we went to a transformation house with Rick Moser, just to really get an understanding, what exactly are we doing? And how are we supposed to posture our hearts before every performance? And we started learning the Psalms, we started learning about music, the arts in general. But, from God's perspective, what does music do to the heart of man? And from then, we've been, every performance, besides just praying, we have a vision, we have an aim. What do we want to do? What do we want each song to speak about or to say to the soul that is listening to the song? So what happens in our hearts, we check ourselves most of the time, and we inspire ourselves first before we can inspire everyone. So it changes our hearts every time, we're on stage. We end up being more changed than the people who are singing. So our hearts, they continue to seek after God and just run after Him.
So I'm thinking people that listen to this program, that are artists or singers or in a music environment, the power that they have to influence a city, to bring a message of hope, to bring the message of Christ. What can you tell them? Because if we want to really have an impact as artists, then something of that importance as a platform that we can use is something people need to consider. What do you think needs to happen in the heart of artists and musicians to really be a role player, a positive one, into a city?
For me, I think each and every artist or a group, especially if you are really believing in Christ Jesus, is to really believe what God has called you for, to understand that clearly. Because I think we're in moments where anybody can sing, but not anybody can understand what that message can make, what difference it can make within the city. So I would really encourage each artist to develop a strong relationship with God, to understand what is God saying about them within that environment of music, and what is God's desire for their own personal life. And they get their affirmation from God. They get their
identity from God.
Their identity from God.
Otherwise, they get it from the audience, and that's the downfall of so many artists.
For me, that is so important, that, who assures you, who affirms you, who tells you you're good, It's God. It's God first. Once you get it from God, when you get to that stage, it becomes a flow. It becomes easy. There's no pressure. There's no competition. There's no comparison. So every artist must develop a strong relationship with God, and they get their assurance. They're confident in God first before they can get it anybody. Praise is good. From people, it's good. I accept that. Me as an individual and also as soul, we love when people, believe in our music. But we have realized that we need to find our affirmation. What is God saying about us? What has He been saying even in the past? So a continual communion with God before you go on stage. When you are not even on stage, when you are not raising, just you and God, and find out what God says about.
Because at least then you know that whenever an opportunity arises, you'll be a messenger of the message of Christ.
Definitely.
And it will never be any self-gain that you need from
Definitely. When you know that you're important before God,
it settles everything.
It settles everything. Yeah, it takes off the pressure. It takes the pressure away.
Calvin, it's exciting to see when artists really understand their function, their role. And I want to thank you just for what you're doing. And may Soul as a ministry, as a band, may the music really continue to inspire people, Afrikaans, Zulu, whoever you guys meet, because obviously God has given you favor. And I pray that the impact that it will have in people's lives will continue. So thank you for your obedience. You've got a great voice. Accept that praise.
Thank you so much.
But thank you for being on the program, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Tops.